How is your week going, Retro people? My name is Brad, this is Retro Cell Spotlight, and this is your news, notes, history, and retro games to play for the week of December 27th, 2016. I hope you all had a good Christmas, and will have a happy new year, as this is the last RSS of the year. Last week's tutorial was all about scanning for added and removed ROMs inside of LaunchBox. The setup is fairly straightforward, and you can save yourself some time in the long run if you move games in and out constantly. Check it out below if you are curious. The Amiga lived on for quite some time and still has a passionate following. Their CD add-on was fairly well received and supported for quite some time as well, but the CD32 specific add-on is mostly forgotten about, but that doesn't stop this story in the slightest. Biff Boardin, a snowboarding Amiga CD32 game, has come up on eBay and has a snowboard accessory to go along with it. Normally, a regular eBay listing isn't news, even for the price tag this one sits at, but it's noteworthy because it's yet another unreleased game that has made its way to the public. Information about this game's origin and developer is very, very scarce. Developed by Surf Systems, limited knowledge of them hints that they've made just 2 games. The even more odd portion to this story? Biff Boardin has been available in the Tosec Amiga CD32 ROM set for some time under the homebrew category, so it's probably gone unnoticed, and it somehow slipped in, most likely due to the developer's complete obscurity. The entire Surf Systems collection is being sold off for about $1,000, and there is zero way to check to see if these are prototypes or if this was somehow released commercially and was a complete and total flop that the stock of these games pretty much disappeared. It's kind of an odd, creepy story, isn't it? Check out this game in an Amiga CD32 ROM set and be amazed that preservation is happening for games that would otherwise literally be lost to time forever. Shigeru Miyomoto is probably one of the most well-known video game developers in the entire world, and much of what this man has said over the years has been translated, retranslated, studied, and revered by many, many game developers now who were inspired by Mario and Zelda. This last statement can really apply to the next 2 stories, realizing that as I write this, but the first story is about an interview that Miyomoto did between the release of Link to the Past, or better known in Japan as Triforce of the Gods, in Japan and North America. There's a lot of interesting tidbits that I never knew about in this interview. A lot of it sounds very interesting, and seems to almost conflict with other things that the industry has heard, and even shows that these were thoughts on Miyamoto's mind even back then, and can be drawn all the way up through the other Legend of Zelda games, and even up to the newest Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. So here are a few questions and responses, and the rest of these will be in the description below. From the interviewer, when did the development get started? From Miyamoto, quote, "We started making the game at the same time as Super Mario World. Even back when we first unveiled the Super Nintendo at the company in July 1989, our plan had always been to develop and release the game alongside Mario. We had wanted to make it a launch title for the SFC2. We had been hoping to release it in March, but it got delayed to the summer vacation, and in the end, it came out for the SFC's first year anniversary." In response to the developers adding more into the North American release, what kind of ideas did you have? From Miyamoto, quote, "One idea was with the lantern. If you used it on a grassy area, it would cause a huge brush fire. If you cut a little circle of grass around you, you could safely stand there in the middle of it. In swamp areas, you could use a shovel to dig a ditch, and then if you bombed the swamp breakwater, it would cause the water to rush into the hole you dug. That idea was actually half complete. If we'd had another 6 months or so, we might have been able to make it a reality." In response to the amount of time that the game could take new players. 40 hours? Wow. Yeah, if you get stuck on some of these puzzles, it can eat up a lot of time. That might be a bit intimidating for players used to more conventional, linear RPGs. From Miyamoto, quote, "We did include alternate paths solutions for players that are easier though. Originally, the system in Zelda we envisioned was more open-ended. For example, if there was a rock blocking your way, you could safely ignore it and keep playing. There was always another way around. I wanted something that players could get so lost in, it would take them a whole year to finish. The problem with making an open-ended version of Zelda like that was the messaging and plotline. If you ignore structure like that, then the plotline can quickly get screwy and NPC messages start to not make sense. Programming in enough logic to handle all the different possibilities probably would have required about 150% more memory than we had. There's a lot more to read here and really shines a light on the mind of Miyomoto at the time, but I'm sure he would have very different things to say now. Miyomoto was about 32 at the Famicom release, 39 when Link to the Past was released for the SNES, and 64 now. So the man has quite a bit of knowledge and extra time under his belt, and it's interesting to compare methodologies. Speaking of a younger Miyomoto, methodologies, and taking a look at how he did what he did, Nintendo released original drawings on the specialized grid paper of the original Legend of Zelda for Zelda's 30th birthday, like they shared the original designs of Mario a few years back for his 30th birthday. The drawings were done by Takashi Tezuka and Shigeru Miyamoto, showing off dungeons and the overworld map, and even the comparisons to how the final rooms and design came out. Obviously, some basic design differences, like no HUD on the paper, but the designs of the rooms themselves stayed almost the same, if not exactly, and so did most parts of the overworld that were shown off. The images on the special internal Nintendo paper also show color keys, and later images show off the HUD as well as demos of the color in action. These are quite amazing, and I love poring over design documents like this all the time, especially for a game series that is my absolute favorite. Now it's time for Retro Remix Song of the Week, and this week is funky. Entitled Electro Killer 6000, based on the Vampire Killer song from Castlevania and remixed by Zircon, this song is really fun. It makes me want to dance while I write this. Read the interview and review below at OCR and enjoy these funky electro Castlevania beats. In some sort of fate-inspired coincidence, this month in 1988, Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link was released in North America for the NES. Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link is an action RPG with platforming elements. The second installment in the Legend of Zelda series, it was developed and published by Nintendo for the Family Computer Disk System on January 14, 1987, less than a year after the original Legend of Zelda was released, and 7 months before North America saw the release of the first Zelda title. The game was released in North America and the PAL region for the Nintendo Entertainment System in late 1988, almost 2 years after its initial release in Japan. The Adventure of Link is a direct sequel to the original Legend of Zelda, again involving the protagonist, Link, on a quest to save Princess Zelda, who has fallen under a sleeping spell. The Adventure of Link's emphasis on side-scrolling and role-playing elements, however, was a significant departure from its predecessor. As of 2016, the game remains the only technical sequel to the original title, as all other entries in the series either are prequels or take place in an alternative reality, according to the official Zelda timeline. The game was a critical and financial success and introduced elements such as Link's magic meter and the Dark Link character that would become commonplace in future Zelda games, although the role-playing elements such as experience points and the platform-style side-scrolling and limited lives have not been used since in canonical games. If you are a patron that pledged to be a part of our Patreon campaign and are watching this early, then thank you very much. For those of you who have pledged at the producer level role, your names are now on screen. If you are interested in seeing your name as a part of Retro Style Spotlight, the tutorials, and have it be inside of the LaunchBox app, then head on over to our Patreon link in the description below. At just $2 a month, you can see content like RSS early, and at higher tiers, you start to unlock things like exclusive Discord server access, producer credits, and a personal hangout with the LaunchBox team. Any dollar amount anyone pledges to our campaign is helping us create a better product. So that was Retro Style Spotlight for the week of December 27th, 2016. All of the relevant links to everything you heard in this edition of RSS will be in the description below. Remember, you can sign up for a LaunchBox Forum account, and if LaunchBox has given you a beautiful library of games, then why not purchase a premium license of LaunchBox for $20 to access Big Box, which is a controller and couch-oriented version of LaunchBox. The LaunchBox Games database is also available for any user to contribute to as well. Jason, Kirsten, and I, along with the rest of the team, have a lot planned for our community, so if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, we're doing a tutorial video every Friday, live developer sessions, LaunchBox news, Q&As, and a ton more content in the future. Let us know what you think of RSS and any feedback you may have on it. My name is Brad, the link to my channel is below, and remember, freaks and geeks, to play more games, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day.